The expansive roads, cutting-edge shopping centres, and of course, the iconic Petronas towers that dominate the city's skyline, leaving a lasting impression on many first-time visitors to Kuala Lumpur. But some people are unaware of how remarkable these striking indications of economic advancements are, particularly in light of Malaysia's recent past. With a GDP per capita of about $260, half of Malaysians were living in utter poverty as recently as 50 years ago. Things turn upside down for Malaysia. How did Malaysia achieve good economic progress? Why is it stuck in the middle income category? And how is the government reacting to this issue? Malaysia is ideally situated to serve as a centre for global trade, thanks to its stable economy and strategic location in Southeast Asia. As one of the biggest economies in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, the nation is also home to a growing customer base with rising purchasing power. In addition, natural resources are opening doors for Malaysia. They are abundant there, particularly in the fields of forestry, agriculture, and mining. It exports agricultural and natural resources, with petroleum representing the nation's most important export. Malaysia leads the world in the export of natural rubber and palm oil, which, along with wood and wood products, cocoa, pepper, pineapple, and tobacco, drive the agricultural industry's expansion. The two primary mineral resources that are vital to the economy there are tin and petroleum. Before the tin market crashed in the early 1980s, Malaysia was the entire globe's biggest producer of tin. Since gaining its independence in 1957, Malaysia has had consistent growth in per capita income for 60 years. They must have the stars in their eyes now. During this time, the average annual growth rate of the per capita GDP has been 3.8%. This is in contrast to sub-Saharan Africa's 0.7% annual growth and Latin America's 1.8% average for the same time period. The average level of living has improved by over 8 times there. Also, the real GDP per capita has almost doubled since 1996, which is faster than its emerging peers. It also accomplished this growth despite implementing a significant social program intended to eradicate poverty and the association of racial or ethnic identity with particular jobs. Seems like Malaysia is on the crest of a wave.
Wow, I feel good.
The British colonial government in place prior to independence played a role in the achievement of these social and economic objectives. At the time of independence, the nation's transportation and urban infrastructures were far better developed than those of the majority of Asia and Latin America, and it had two robust natural resource industries. However, most of the earnings from these ventures were returned to England. Following their independence, Malaysia's rulers brought these earnings home and utilised the nation's resources, along with foreign direct investment, to construct one of the best infrastructures in the world, a modern industrial economy. They are riding high, no? The administrations that came into power after 1969 also implemented measures that have significantly reduced extreme poverty and the association of certain racialized professors with certain jobs. Without the stable political climate that these social initiatives have contributed to, sustained economic growth would not have been conceivable. It would be like grasping at straws. Nevertheless, past performance doesn't ensure future financial success. From 2006 to 2016, the growth of GDP per capita slowed significantly to 3.1% annually. However, this is not an issue in and of itself. No nation that has attained high middle income status has kept up the nearly double-digit growth rate that most of Northeast Asia is seeing. Seems like some growth issues flew under the radar. If you like this video so far, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Despite this impressive progress, many economists worry that Malaysia is moving further away from its ultimate target of being a fully developed nation. Should we hit the panic button now? Experts argue that Malaysia is caught in what is known as the middle income trap, a situation in which a nation reaches a comparatively comfortable economic level but is unable to advance to the rank of a developed nation. The causes of becoming stuck are mainly straightforward. It's simple to take advantage of low-wage workers at low-income levels for low-skilled manufacturing exports that help people go from low to middle income. The transition from moderate to high income is considerably more challenging though. You can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs, right? Actually, costs rise in tandem with incomes. Therefore, nations like Malaysia need to move up the value chain by exporting higher-end goods. They also need to innovate and make more efficient use of labour and resources. This entails having a workforce with higher levels of education and a creative domestic business sector that makes R&D investments. Paradoxically, Malaysia can be hampered by the same policies that helped it succeed half a century ago. It's like the chickens have come home to roost, right? The economy there has transitioned from exporting raw materials to manufacturing goods, but it has done so by mostly depending on foreign direct investment. This is not always a bad thing, but only indigenous investors there will create cutting-edge companies and products that can propel the nation into a high-income category. Sadly, domestic private investment there has decreased even more after the Asian financial crisis of 1997, which further dims the chances of a development path headed by Malaysia. Furthermore, the 40-year-old New Economic Policy, NEP, has hindered growth, thereby avoiding the complete mobilization of human resources, especially among the ethnic Chinese and Indian minorities. The NEP was initially intended to help Bumiputera, a term commonly employed in Malay to refer to the indigenous people there, compete with greater efficiency in the economy through ownership quotas and educational programs. Some international investors, according to critics, have also shied away from the NEP because they think it entails excessive government meddling in the economy. It's like global investors gave the government a slap on the wrist. While the NEP's original goal of increasing opportunities for and redistributing wealth to underprivileged communities there was commendable, many citizens of the country, particularly Bumiputeras who have benefited from the program, feel that the model is now out of date and deters the country's brightest minds, regardless of ethnicity, from pursuing innovative ideas. Luckily, the issue wasn't left hanging in the air. The government declared in February 2010 that the 10th Malaysian Plan would include the implementation of the new economic model, NEM. Through enhanced need-based affirmative action, the NEM seeks to boost worker productivity in all spheres of society, hence promoting economic growth. Actually, since 2000, Malaysia is one of the few countries that saw a decrease in its labour productivity, which is not the case for the USA, Taiwan, China, and other countries. The government there hopes that the NEM would assist in growing a knowledge-based economy, move Malaysia up in the value chain, and establish it as a developed nation. Do you really think the NEM will save the day? The government is presenting itself as an accelerator or promoter of economic progress instead of a rigorous regulator with the introduction of the NEM. The main argument for the NEM is that too much government engagement in the market is depressing investors and impeding growth. They think that by improving incentives for private companies to participate in creative ventures, it will be placed on a more rapid economic trajectory. Many people think that the new approach, which extols the virtues of deregulation and less state intervention, has intellectual roots in the Lisbon Treaty or the Washington Consensus. Wow, this NEM looks able to weather the storm. Furthermore, by reducing the gap between the incomes of the rich and the poor and creating a high-income group, the NEM also promoted a better quality of life for citizens there. But data from a number of high-income nations across time, including the USA, China, and France, indicates a pattern of rising income disparity in the absence of government redistribution. As a result, it is necessary to consider whether the NEM is appropriately focused on resolving these problems. Otherwise, it would be like this income equality issue is cooking the goose of the government. Now, let's talk a little bit about a recent corruption event in Malaysia. Initially, 1MDB, which stands for One Malaysia Development Berhad Limited, was only a state fund established by the Malaysian government in 2009 with the goal of advancing development via partnerships and foreign investment. Its chairman at the time was Najib Razak, the Prime Minister. Since then, the fund has been central to one of the world's worst corruption scandals. According to the US Justice Department, about $4.5 billion was pilfered, and the ensuing scandal led to the overthrow of a government in 2020 and the apprehension of Najib, his spouse Rose Mamansa, and an increasing number of close friends. seems like they were caught red-handed. According to Transparency International's 2022 Corruption Perceptions Index, it is the 61st lowest corrupt country in the world out of 180. From 1995 to 2022, Malaysia's corruption rank averaged 46, with a peak of 62 in 2017 and 2021, and a record low of 23 in 1995. It is obvious that the Malaysian government is committed to guiding the nation away from the middle income trap and toward faster growth. But Malaysia will also need to think about how it will address the major obstacles that could eventually prevent it from developing further. Otherwise, Malaysia will be left in the lurch. Solving problems will not be simple. However, it may achieve progress on these fronts with thoughtful policy and political determination, if its history over the past 50 years is any guide. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to receive more content. See you in the next video.